my voice, so I appreciate that, Celeste. So good morning and welcome to our annual Meet the Mayors panel. I gotta be honest with you, I'm going into my third year in this job, and this was the first event we did out at Century House. And I just remember walking away from the event going, this job's gonna be really cool. Like, if this is the kind of stuff we get to do as a chamber, this is all right. So I love it. There's such a healthy appreciation for what the work that the chamber does and in the vision that all the mayors have that are members of our organization. So again, we're honored to have such distinguished leaders and dedicated themselves to the betterment of their cities and the well-being of their residents. I want to give a big shout out to Hudson Valley Community College for sponsoring today's event and providing us with such a wonderful venue. Our second year here for this occasion. But if you give them a round of applause, please. And again, going off script, as I just told Steve as he's reading, going, Norris really is going off script here. But a special shout out to a guest today, but Congressman Mike McNulty, who's sitting dead center back there. But thank you for being here, Congressman. Dr. Brophy and Dennis Kennedy are always willing to step up to help us engage when we need support with our programming and many other initiatives that we take on as a chamber. We actually have Dr. Brophy with us today, and he'd like to say a few words, so please welcome him up here to welcome you to the program. Dr. Brophy.
Thank you. Stay right here. Oh, stay right here, okay. Just wanted to thank the chamber for being with us today, honoring us with this event. Number one. Number two, I want to recognize all the wisdom and service that we have in this room. I hope our honor students are watching closely today. You know, a lot of role models here you'll learn from. And I have to say, I think 3 of our 4 mayors are Hudson Valley alums. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right.
Yeah. So a lot of wisdom, a lot of service, but of course the college makes it every day, every year with momentum, moving forward with great support from our sponsor. Please join me in recognizing our county executive, Steve McLaughlin. Steve. Up, Steve.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve.
I'll do this right. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here today. Norris, thank you for hosting this, and Hudson Valley, thank you, Dr. Brophy and Hudson Valley for hosting this great program, and thank you to the chamber as well for setting all this up. So let's get started because we don't have a lot of time. So I'd like to have all the mayors come on up and join me on stage here. So with us today, we have 4 local leaders who will be sharing insight into what their administrations have been working on, the challenges they're facing, and what's to come in the future. So some quick intros. From the city of Watervliet, Mayor Charles Patricelli. From the city of Troy, Mayor Carmela Mantello. From the village of Green Island, Mayor Ellen McNulty Ryan, who brought some unfair support with a congressman in the midst here. I'm just saying. And from the city of Rensselaer, Mayor Mike Stammel. All right, so I'm going to sit down in a second, but thank you everybody for being here today. And let's just start by giving a recap overview of what you've accomplished since you did this last year. Take a minute or two to just highlight the accomplishments of your administration, and then we'll get into the questions, and we'll go right down the line, starting with Mayor Stammel. 2 minutes, Mike.
Won't take that.
Approximately.
We'll make it quick. I think our accomplishments this last year has been ongoing. I think I presented a lot of things at this last year's meeting that have come to fruition with development in the city of Rensselaer with housing, especially along our riverfront. We've added additional units for low to moderate income housing. We've also invested a lot in our infrastructure, which was been well needed. As you know, we get our water from the city of Troy at fair rate.
Already the jazz.
And we've had some water pumps that our pump house is located in the city of Troy, and the pumps have been up there for some some 60 years, 65 years. And matter of fact, one of the pumps come off a decommissioned battleship. So they've been running and providing water to not only the city of Rensselaer, but East Greenbush and North Greenbush since 1967, 68. So we've invested over $2 million in upgrading those pumps, and that's just a start, because we want to obviously now continue replacing the water line that is over 60 years old, and that's next on our agenda.
Great, thank you. Can everybody hear me all right without the mic? Are we good? All right, good. We can project. All right. Ellen?
I'm very happy to say that a couple weeks ago, we had a nice development in Green Island. Peter Louisi and companies came and redid a junkyard that we had in Green Island, which was the worst eyesore and mess that we've ever had. And he came in and cleaned it up and built a 200,000 square foot warehouse for OGS. And we just had a great ribbon cutting at it. And he took what was the worst eyesore in Green Island and made it a showcase. And I can't thank him and his companies enough for that. And a little further up the road, he's developing Factory Town, which will be a 139-unit apartment complex, very similar to Starbuck Island, which he did opened a few years ago. So we're really working hard, and we have less than a square mile of what Green Island is, so we're using what little we have left in land to make the best development for it. And like everybody else, we've got our water issues too, yes, which we're dealing with. I think everybody has that. We got pipes that are 100 years old. And so I think that's going to be, if we could get a little more funding for infrastructure, it would be great.
Carm?
Hi, Steve. Thank you, Norris. Thank you to Hudson Valley, my alum. I was telling the president, he said, "Did you just graduate about 10 years ago?" I said, "I wish." But saying that, so elected in November of 2023, and one of my major campaign promises, and something I'm very passionate about, making our streets safer and cleaner. We all know investment for it to take place in the city of Troy. People want to not just see that our streets are safe, they want them to be safer. They want them to be cleaner. There was, unfortunately, and I'm born and raised in Troy, tons of illegal dumping all throughout our alleyways, to the point where National Grid would call me time to time, couldn't get down the alleyway because of mattresses and trash, etc. And so saying that, January 1st, we hit the ground running, safer, cleaner. Today, I'm very proud. Troy is safer. Our stats are down, more guns off the streets, but really focusing on neighborhood revitalization. Some of our major projects, Campbell Avenue. We had the funds. I was council president. Prior administration didn't pull the trigger. We pulled the trigger last year, and now we have a beautiful corridor. We're really focusing on our gateways, milling, paving, Spring Ave, Pinewoods Ave. As many of you know, my partner in crime, Steve McLaughlin, we revitalized and reignited the Knickerbocker Ice Rink. It was dead for 10 years. Now, kids, families enjoying the Nick Ice Rink, public skating. Nick Pool, once again, on the back burner. Next year, the Nick Pool will be opening for families all throughout the city of Troy. Our parks, whether it be 112th Street, Canal Street, Ferry, and Congress, we have a $12 million project. If many folks know, you head on to Watervliet at River Street. A lot of people think it's going to loop around, come back to Troy. You have to do a U-turn in Watervliet. We're going to connect South Troy to downtown and literally change that whole gateway. $12 million project. Neighborhood revitalization just over the weekend. Habitat for Humanity, a partnership project, $42 million in ARPA money. $1 million went toward demolishing some blighted buildings in North Central neighborhood. We now have 2 beautiful homes that'll be homeowner occupied. Taylor Apartments redone. We have over 2,300 units of development that have taken place in Troy since January 1st of last year. We have tons of development happening, lead pipe replacement. I could go on and on, but lots happening in Troy. We really feel that we're the happening town. We don't have a capital, we don't have a casino, but we have an incredible waterfront, incredible people, and we're just going to keep it rolling, Troy. But a lot happening. Saw piles moving from Russell Sage area. We've been trying to do that for 30 years. That's moving within the next 2 years. We'll see multi-use housing development happening on the waterfront. Roddy Valeni, the old Uncle Sam garage, another apartment complex, market rate housing. So a lot happening in Troy, and I'll pass it along to Mayor Patricelli, but we're excited.
Well, before we do, Mayor, the media is saying they're having trouble picking up the just our speaking, so if we could use the mics. And, we all love the media in politics, so we want to keep them happy.
And when you get to the Italian, probably the loudest voice here. I got to use the mics. Well, we're trying to keep up with some of the neighboring cities, ourselves. We're trying to get those people that are making U-turns from Troy to back into Watervliet to stay here now in Watervliet. Thanks. I think in Watervliet, what I think I'm most proud of, or what's happened since the last time we've been here, is our let's say our changing of administration's personnel, increasing our personnel and their expertise. Some of the changes we've made. Everybody brings something different to the table, and I think we were actually able to have a good team, and now we've increased that team to bring in a couple other professionals and help with the urban planning, city planning, and also in the police and safety. You just saw all the cameras that we put out throughout the city. We have probably close to 80 cameras around the city, and they've been invaluable to helping the police department solve a lot of the crimes in the city. It's making not only the residents, but the businesses, everybody feel a lot more safer, that there's a lot of documentations. Like I say, the cameras don't lie. They're right there, and, they've really been helping the police department and helping us out with a lot of it, and especially in collaboration with Detroit, even Manans and Green Island and Cohoes. I mean, it's been a fabulous amount of work that's been done on their part. We've been a lot of working on our grants. We've been very, very successful in getting a number of grants and been closing out a number of grants, especially in our water treatment plants and also in our working at a reservoir. We're close again. I keep saying this. It's been 4 years or 5 years since we've been working with FERC trying to get the hydroelectric plant license approved. We're very, very close on that. It's in review now, and hopefully it'll be another 40 years before we have to worry about that again. So that took up an awful lot of time. But, like I say, it's a daily grind with us, and, just keeping everybody going. We were talking earlier about the police force, keeping the police force, the fire department, and all personnel, up to speed. So.
Excellent. Well, thank you all. So let's jump into the questions. We got a lot of them. We won't have time to get through them all, so I'll try to pick and choose. And a lot of what you just said is in some of these questions, so I may skip some just because we only have about 40 minutes. But first question, how do each of you become more like Steve McLaughlin? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. How do you, and by the way, answer if you want. You don't, you might not apply to each of you, but if you feel like answering, we'll just go down the line, back and forth, whatever, okay? So how do you balance the needs of residents with those of the business community when making your policy decisions? Whoever wants to, you want to kick it off first, Mike? And we'll kind of go back and forth that way.
I just think it's, obviously it has a lot to do with collaboration. We try to collaborate with our businesses as well as with the city at all times. One of the things with collaboration is being able to listen, understand what the businesses want and what they need in order to make their business successful, communicating with them, asking questions back that they may not have thought of sometimes, introduce them to new programs that we may have in the city. I too have an excellent planning and development office that provides grants and maybe
funding for repairs and things of that nature they want to make or additions to their business. So collaboration is very important to me. One of the things I find most often that business and residents want to have both back and forth is something that Steve knows real well, and that is providing good streets for them to drive back and forth on, sidewalks, parking. Those things are very important to the business, and it's very important to the public as well. The public wants to be able to utilize them just as much as the businesses do.
Ellen?
I think what we do well is when a business wants to come into Green Island or change anything, we like to have them sit down with our green team, we call it, and talk about what they want to do and see if it fits with our community and if it's going to work for our residents. That way, when they do apply for something, they know if they're going to be, right for a right fit for us. So our major thing is do no harm. Don't do anything that's going to hurt the businesses, and don't do anything that's going to harm the residents. So I think planning and communicating is the key to making those things work.
Yeah, for sure. Carm?
Yeah, much like Mayor Stammel and Ellen stated, it is all about collaboration. It's about balance. We do have a couple controversial projects. So one of the things that I had talked about when council president, one of the things I noticed was the fact that a lot of these businesses, a lot of developers wouldn't head out to the community first. They would sit with the administration, but not really know the neighborhood. So one of the things that I started when I took office is developers, they don't have to, but I strongly recommend neighborhood meetings. For instance, I have mentioned Roddy Valenti's project. We know a lot of people, once the Uncle Sam garage came down, a lot of folks got used to that beautiful view shed of the waterfront. So I told Roddy, come up with a conceptual plan, even if it's something very non-specific, because obviously developers don't want to spend a ton of money through engineering, et cetera, and just have a neighborhood meeting, pitch what you're looking for. Then you can modify it before you go to planning, or if you need zoning. So many developers now, whether it be Redburn, Rosenblum, some of the smaller developers, are literally having neighborhood meetings and getting that feedback. They're incorporating more landscaping, more trees, really communicating with that neighborhood. Catholic Eye, if many of you know Redburn, they developed apartments in Catholic Eye. They're now looking at the football field, putting semi-condos on the football field. The neighborhood was really concerned about parking, about other issues. So they had a neighborhood meeting. They're full now in the gym and the school, and they're under development for the football field. So it's just all about that communication, collaboration, and really about that balance, incorporating trails, things to that nature. So,
Mayor Petroselli?
Yeah, basically it's the same. You really have to communicate with your residents, but you also have to talk to the developer or the person coming in and asking, I'd like to do this, or what can I do about putting in a new business or changing over something in their area. And I think you have to look at it and say, hey, well, how's this going to affect the neighborhood? How's it going to look at? We've had many zoning questions and issues that came up, and we have to talk to them. And there's sometimes where you have to have a little bit of a understanding with the developer, and just be able to say, well, if we change this over here a little bit, maybe, we can get it, or have you talked to the neighbors yet, and that kind of thing. Well, many times what we'll do is I'll just hold these little public meetings, I'll invite people back to either to my office or a location and say, hey, you want to get together, you want to talk about it. But there isn't a day go by that I don't get an email or a text or some sort and saying, hey, what's going on here? And you talk to them and you assure them what's going on. You give them the right information. And I think that's basically it. You got to give them the right information, because what they do is if you don't tell them that, then they kind of like, have to assume what somebody else is saying is true. So.
All right, onward. So how do you see collaboration between your cities and the chamber helping to grow the local economy? Want to go backwards this time? Want to start first, Mayor Petroselli, or?
Yeah, fine. I think you have to use the resources that are available. There are so many different resources that are available. I know even National Grid's here, Hudson Valley. And anytime that you see something, you have to be able to look at an organization or something and say, hey, how can I help? We're presently involved with SUNY of Albany to do some graduate planning in the city. You know, we've asked them to come in and do a study on 19th Street corridor. And I think that's the same way with even with the chamber. And I'll be honest with you, it's mostly it's our fault that we don't use the chambers enough to be able to say, hey, look at how can how can you help us here improve? Because we're not all experts in every area, and when you have a lot more experts out there, you have to look at them and see what they are thinking. And I think that you have to go and be open to some other ideas. Especially I went out walking with the SUNY graduates, and it was really, really interesting to hear some of their comments. And it's because they are they see it from a more global aspect, and we're more focused. Sort of like, oh my God, we've been doing this for the last 70 years. Now they're coming up with some other ideas, and I think that's important, even using the chamber.
And Steve, you asked about municipal, right? Working with each other. And, we're doing it every day, whether it be large or small. Congress, vary. We're hopeful. We have a little bit of federal money, but we're looking, obviously, to improve that gateway. And, the Empire State Greenway Trail, our Hudson River, it's a true connection. And what's good for Troy is good for Waterford, Cohoes, Watervliet, Green Island. I know Ellen and I were working on the bike trail over the bridge to make that safer. As you heard, we're working with Rensselaer, whether it be on water, whether it be connecting our trail along the Hudson River. So that inter-municipal collaboration is key. Cameras, our police talk to each other, trying to share information. But what's good for our other municipalities is great for Troy. So development, we don't discourage it. Yes, we're competitive. At the same time, we work together quite a bit on a number of projects because we are a region, and what's good for Green Island, Watervliet is great for Troy.
Well, most of my connections with the chamber doing Meet the Mayors. This is my 24th time doing Meet the Mayors. You've been around you've been around a long time. It first started up at the Sunset Inn, and that building isn't even here anymore. So that's our major connection.
Well, obviously, we use the chamber as much as possible in the city of Rensselaer. I find the chamber being very proactive in obviously supporting any business we may be looking for, or a business looking for a place to locate. The chamber is very good there. The chamber is also been very useful in getting the troops out when we're trying to do activities and public hearings and notices and groundbreaking and things of that nature. So the chamber has been very active in many ways in supporting us. And one of the ways we give back to the chamber that I find is, and this I attribute to our planning director, Tom Houlihan, is that anytime we have a new business that comes into the city, we provide them 1 year free admission to the Chamber of Commerce, and most of the small businesses that come in are very, very thankful for something like that.
That's great. So we've all heard a lot about housing recently, the past year or so, and we've all seen the housing shortage and struggles out there for some folks. But a lot of communities facing challenges with both housing and workforce shortages. How is your administration addressing these issues to support economic growth? Go ahead, sure. We'll just go back and forth, I guess.
All right, we'll go back and forth. Okay, I think we're addressing housing on a day-to-day basis, I think, in the city of Rensselaer. One of the things that hasn't been done in a long time is everybody's ignored the city of Rensselaer, especially the development along the riverfront. Recently, we've opened up the Hilton Center, which is a project that's obviously being done by BBL, and was providing housing for people, medium rental income people for housing along the riverfront. We also have a development at McManus Center, which is a school that's being transferred into apartments on East Street, right across from the train station. We've got, let's see here, Pocinella Fuels is now in the planning stage with developing 300 units along the riverfront between the Livingston Avenue Bridge and Tracy Street in the city of Rensselaer, which is right in the center of the city. So, plus we've incorporated a couple other housing developments that are going on. Peter Marks is starting next month a new project down in where the old high school was, all along the riverfront. So our riverfront hasn't been developed in many, many years since the railroad moved out of it in the mid-1950s. So housing has been very good for us. As far as trying to get more jobs out of that, is a lot of the housing that we have is mixed. So therefore, there's commercial mixed in with residential, and therefore the two of them offset and complement each other. I can remember as a youth in the city of Rensselaer, we had over 15,000 people in our city. Now we've been under 10,000 for the last 15 years. That is starting to excel, and as long as you have more people in your city, you'll have more businesses that want to take care of the needs of those people, and they're complementing each other day by day here in the city of Rensselaer.
As I said, we have Starbuck Island, and Mr. Louisi is now developing Factory Town, which will be 139 apartments. We have, we're so much smaller than everybody else, so what seems small to somebody else is a big thing for us. They just built 2 years ago 12 single-family units near our park. And I think the biggest improvement that we've had is we passed a residential occupancy permit. And every single property, rental property, has to be inspected every 3 years or when they change tenants. And that has improved us tremendously. And our code guy is here today, and he's doing a great job of going in and making things safe for people. This is a thing that I think, especially in where you have old infrastructure, homes and everything, it's very important to go in and check those things out. And there's been people that live in places that hadn't been inspected in many, many years. So I'm very happy about that. It makes it safer for people living there. But also, even like our seniors just got a grant, and they're working with the fire department to go into senior homes and replace all of their smoke and CO detectors and things. So it's just being there and people knowing that they're going to be protected. So.
Yeah, and as Ellen mentioned, it's not always the large projects. I talked about some of the large projects that we have ongoing. Taylor 1, Taylor 2, that's affordable housing. We have Roddy Valeni, we have Rosenblum over on Fifth Ave doing micro units. We have Leonard Hospital, which was demoed a few years ago. People told us when we put the RFP out in January, when I first took office, nobody's going to bid on that. We now have 70 some odd tiny homes for 55 plus. So we have a real mixture, whether it be affordable housing, market rate housing. We have Mike Usolini over at North Station down in the downtown, market rate housing, commercial, moving his headquarters into that building. Over in Lansingburg, we have waterfront development happening. So, but on a small level, as Ellen mentioned, we've really taken a step back in terms of addressing blighted buildings, many buildings that are unsafe in many of our neighborhoods, whether it be Little Italy, North Central. So we have demoed a number of buildings that are just not restorable, very unsafe, blighted in the neighborhoods. Residents have been begging to take down some of these buildings for years. So we really have taken a step back, focus, be more proactive with code enforcement. And like I said earlier, it does all go back to quality of life. Our quality of life action team has just done a phenomenal job, but we're not going to see investment, Troy, if our streets aren't safer and cleaner. So we always go back to that. But in terms of housing, we have a ton of housing going on, whether it be affordable to market rate. And in terms of wages, in-house, our wages, folks are very underpaid. Our departments really haven't been taken a look at in terms of not just putting someone in that position, but really rethinking government. And we've done a lot of that since taking office in terms of if you have 15 positions in this department, do we need all 15? Do we need more CDLs rather than laborers? So we've really taken a step back and looking at our departments differently. We're doing more with less. And that's happening on our workforce. But in terms of the workforce in general, the city of Troy, we're booming. We have a lot of young professionals moving to Troy. A lot of young professionals live over at Starbuck Island. I know that. And they come to our farmers market. They eat at our restaurants. So once again, we're all feeding off each other. We did change the residency also for the city of Troy. It used to be the city of Troy, and sometimes living within the county, we now literally go all the way up to Saratoga, Schenectady. So we did change that residency. It was really antiquated. We can't just, unfortunately, pick from Rensselaer County. Sorry, Steve.
I don't know why you'd want to look elsewhere, but whatever, that's all right. No, we face the same issue. Mayor?
Yeah, and again, I think it's the same. If you're talking about residency, that's something that we had to change ourselves. We had to look outside the talent pool and increase our talent pool to be able to go outside the city and to be able to look at that and be able to say, hey, this is something that we need, and we have to be able to grow. The other thing I think that we've worked on more, let's say more since I've been around, is that broken window theory. I think the broken window theory is, I believe in it. We had so many vacant buildings, so many buildings that needed to be worked on, and it would seem to be a very, very much of a stagnant type of way of handling it. And I think that brought down everybody else's self-esteem, how they felt about their city, how they felt about themselves. And I think in the last maybe 3 years, I think we've actually removed about 12 homes around the city, and we're working now with individual developers, small home developers, or something, to be able to put them back, back on the tax rolls. I know maybe the concept before as well, if the house is there, even if it's dilapidated or vacant, it'll still be paying taxes. Well, that's not something that we really wanted to see. I think we needed to go the other route and say remove it and then build something else that's back up there. And again, that brings back that, again, we're looking at more and more of the areas in the city to say, hey, look, this is a little blighted. How can we improve this little section? Again, I think in order for it to attract people into the city, you have to have something that they want to do. It's not like it used to be when we were growing up, back in the 60s or something. Your parents lived there, you stayed there. Now people want to go around and they look around for something that they like. Whether or not they like the city of Troy or Watervliet or Cohoes or Albany, but they look around, they say, geez, I like this neighborhood, I like to be able to see it. And we like to be able to do that here. And if they like what they see here, they're going to stay here.
That's a great point. Great point. The one thing, we live in this area, we're blessed to live, in this area with unique waterfront. Each one of you has waterfront. Each one of you has an industrial history, being on the river, and some unique assets, strategic locations for all of you. So what are you doing we talked about housing, which is super important, but what are you doing to attract new businesses, not only attract new, but retain your existing businesses? Whoever wants to grab it.
Well, I could talk about this for about an hour. My prior life, I oversaw the Hudson River Valley Greenway and the New York State Canal Corporation, and it was just incredible jobs. I was afforded to travel our state, work with municipalities, really balancing economic development, water trails, land trails, and like you said, Steve, there's pieces along. So, stepping forward to be in my hometown, now be afforded to really take advantage of our waterfront. It's prime. We don't have 77 like Albany as a barrier. As you notice, on the south end of our waterfront, we have industrial. We have a number of businesses, whether it be Valeni, others. And then as you move north, you have the salt pile. We're moving the salt pile. So we're going to concentrate the heavy industrial, light industrial on the southern end, have multi-use, not just housing, but commercial development, more in the central, northern end. We have a number of launches throughout the city. We have our second to none marina, which attracts folks from all over the world. Just last year, we created a partnership with a really cool cruise line. They have over 100 folks that come throughout the country to pay to come to Troy as a port of call. It's Manhattan to Troy, Troy to Manhattan, and people would be like, who wants to come to Troy? But we are on the map, and our region is second to none. They travel up to Saratoga. They hit other municipalities. They travel to our downtown. It's huge. So our waterfront is a treasure. It's a gold mine. As we move north, we have the walking trail. As many of you have probably experienced, a long dinosaur barbecue connecting north. We are $1 million short. Believe it or not, it costs so much money to connect that river walk. But hopefully we're connecting that over the next year and a half. A quarter mile, which will stretch behind the Marriott. Then we hit the boat launch over on Ingalls Ave, head up Lansingburg, and then we have Lansingburg development on the most northern end. So we're doing everything humanly possible, not just to attract housing, commercial development, but balancing it with our recreational trails, our water trails. People like to canoe, kayak. There's so much along our waterfront, and we may not see the direct economic impact, but obviously our businesses, our restaurants will see that economic impact, whether it be the folks who are walking the trails, biking the trails, or the businesses that move along the waterfront. So a lot of opportunity. It really is a gold mine. It really is economic development, but also balancing recreation.
Nobody informed Carmel that we're moving 787 across the river then, but unfortunately, we have to, do what we have, what was handed to us. We really have very little waterfront, which is basically the Hudson Shores Park. So that's about all we can really work for, but we're working on capitalizing that as much as we possibly can. We want to strengthen that. We want to improve that. We're still looking to look for that tunnel going under 787 off of 16th Street, where the McDonald's is now, going underneath 787 and connecting the south end of the Hudson Shores Park, so allow a little bit better access, to the river. We've been, close but no cigar yet on securing the funding for it, but we're thinking that it's in the works. The Hudson Shores Park is certainly something that we'd like to improve upon, with the docks. We're still working with Louise on the docks. We put the crew docks in there. We got another school that's interested in bringing down their crew teams down there. So we're going to try and redesign the parks to be able to accommodate that. I think the more that we do to improve and let's say strengthen show off our history or our parks and our systems that we have, the more people will want to come back over it and say, hey, look, I like this. Whether or not it's a business or whether or not they go to Troy or back and forth there, I'm still hopeful that we be able to work on the Congress Street Bridge study where we can actually do it. I think that is going to be a gold mine. It works so well, I think, in Amsterdam and other places and cities. And I think looking at that, is going to make the transition between like a Watervliet and Cohoes and that kind of area to make it more, pedestrian friendly, but also friendlier in the whole concept, instead of saying it's just a bridge going across each other and, it's just traffic. I think that's going to be a big win for both of us.
We don't have very much access to actually the river. Our riverfront is mainly owned by private people. It's their backyard. So they get to enjoy it. But my favorite thing on our riverfront is our river park, where we hold summer concerts every Wednesday in July and August. And we don't advertise anywhere. And we get between 200 and 300 people every week to come to this. So it's kind of my favorite thing. And, we'll see what happens.
In the city of Rensselaer, where we have plans already, and some of them are already in place to obviously enhance the riverfront development, both commercially and residentially, as well as using it for public access. We don't have a full-blown trail like Albany County does, but we're sure exploring one. I've had discussions both with Carmela as well as the county executive in regards to coming from Rensselaer all the way up to Troy. That's pretty much virgin property going up that way, and we can take advantage of that, and that would obviously incorporate people like the towns of North Greenbush, RPI, and places like that, which would open that up for great public access. We do have the Port of Rensselaer, which gets utilized on a regular basis, so we're going to continue that, and we work with the Port Commission on a regular basis to try to enhance ships and stuff coming in order to utilize the port as much as possible, and it's a free zone area down there, so therefore it's open for more and more development on a regular basis, and we do work with the port to bring in businesses there. One of the things I think is going to be an asset to us in the near future will be the demolition of the Dunn Memorial Bridge, which is something that needs to come down. I think it's got about another 5-year lifespan to it. If you ever went down by Sapella Block along the river and looked up at the Dunn Memorial Bridge, and you see those great big cement pillars there, but they're not holding up the bridge. There's just I-beams that they got going up there holding up the bridge. Makes you think twice about going over it. And also the replacement of the Livingston Avenue Bridge. Both of these bridges, had no walkways, no access to get across the river. So these now will have walkways, will make it easier for us to access getting across the river. And whether it be for bike access, pedestrian access, but it's access that the public can use, whether it be along the trail or going across these bridges, will be definitely an enhancement to the city of Rensselaer and Rensselaer County.
Yeah, as far as the bike trail goes, we're certainly interested in connecting the two cities for sure. And then I think with Livingston Bridge coming online with a bike trail and walking trail across it, we'll be connected to each other like never before, which is a wonderful thing. We are talking with RPI about that because a lot of that property along the river is owned by RPI, so we need easements to get through there. But the county's absolutely interested in working to make that happen. And don't panic that much about that. You're going to cause a scene here, Michael, with the bridge.
I use it every day. So it doesn't matter.
Oh my God. No, it will come down, and that's going to be it does need to be replaced, as many bridges do throughout the state. But let's talk about workforce a little bit, because we all hear this from the employers that we talk to all the time. And it's why this college is so important to this entire region. But a lot of employers struggling to find skilled workers. Certainly we see that. And what role do you see local government playing in helping build that workforce pipeline?
I think in the city of Rensselaer, we meet the needs of those businesses around us, obviously with professionalism. But as far as the regular workforce goes, I find a need for those people who are used to being laborer or labor craft types of jobs and stuff like that. There's not enough around. And so we do work with Capital District Regional Transportation Committee and the CEOs, the schools, Hudson Valley Community College, that are providing training for people like them, and who need additional training in order to get back into the workforce. That's where I find the problem. I mean, it's hard to even find qualified people to work on your DPW department these days, because the scale of labor, which was talked about before, is so low from the municipalities based on what industry will pay for them. So there needs to be more training and collaboration there. And so we work with that as much as possible. We're in the city of Rensselaer. We've just started a CTC program, which has to do with we are now making part of the high school curriculum training firemen to become firemen when they get out of school, training them to be EMTs so they're ready when they get out of school, high school. So they're getting credits for that right now. It's the first one in the state of New York. I credit my fire department and my chiefs for that, as myself as well, who's been a lifelong resident and firefighter in the city of Rensselaer and EMT, for something that I know we've needed. So giving the youth an opportunity to know what they want, and maybe they don't know what they want, but an opportunity to try something first before they get thrown out into the workplace.
I think our school district has taken a big move this year. It's pre-K through 12, and this September we closed the high school, and the kids are now going to Watervliet High. There were only 52 children in 9th through 12. That doesn't give them a lot of opportunities or much competition in anything. I think it's working out very well. The students seem to be happy. The parents seem to be happy. It's tough giving up ownership of something like that, and kids now have to get on a bus. But I think it's just going to make a big difference in how well they're exposed to things and better training and everything. So I think that's going to help a lot with that. And also when we have a new business come into Green Island, especially when we had like big things like Sealy come in and Silhouette Optical and stuff, we meet with them and ask if there's any chance for, young people to go and do a little internship or something like that with them. And so you just try to make the connections that are there.
Yeah, and where's Brian Williams? Right there. You're amazing. You're a rock star. And believe it or not, you talk about the chamber. The first time I met Brian was through chamber events. So that connection was made, and I really see the chamber as connecting people, which is fabulous. But Steve and I worked together after I took office. One of my first moves was to hire a diversity opportunity outreach director. And the whole idea was to connect to communities, connect to people in the city of Troy that just didn't know that there were so many opportunities out there, that there are so many opportunities, so many avenues, whether it be Hudson Valley, whether it be our trades, whether it be the city of Troy workforce. So since Kevin and I have started our outreach efforts, we've put over 187 kids in the city of Troy to work, partnering with Steve, the county, and Brian Williams. Those are kids that didn't think that they could collect a paycheck, might have been drawn into an illegal activity or gangs, etc. And those kids now are working all throughout the year, in the summer, in the fall, through Brian's program, through Steve's program. We are doing everything humanly possible, like Mike mentioned, to get some of our youth, our younger folks, to step up to the plate, whether it be Troy Fire, whether it be Troy Police, our minorities on the Troy Fire Department, deplorable. We've only had one woman. This round, we got our second woman on the Troy Fire Department. It's very rigorous. It's very tough. Minorities aren't stepping up to the plate to be a firefighter. So we're really going above and beyond to reach out to our schools, to reach out to our community, to let them know that there are other paths, are other avenues. We have a great partnership with the IBEW, with our trades. My husband's retired IBEW electrician. We're trying to show our young people that there are other avenues in trades, whether it be plumbing, carpentry, welding, you name it. So wherever we can, we're creating partnerships to show our young people that there are other avenues, that there are other paths. And it's happening, and we talk about it's literally kid by kid, but it is happening.
I see a lot of this same thing is in Watervliet. I know the Watervliet Arsenal and Hudson Valley has been very, very close in working together. The Watervliet Arsenal spending billions of dollars on improvements, but a lot of it is the new technology, and they're working with Hudson Valley. I know our high school is working with Hudson Valley, also, as well as to be able to give some training to the kids come out, or give them the opportunity to see something that they like, especially in the trades. I know, for instance, that we've had a number of students in Watervliet that's going to BOCES, and I think they're expressing that much more of a priority and saying, hey, look, you don't have to be a math or scientist or go into, some really academic field of that sort, but trades are very, very important. I think they've been doing that, and they've been doing a great job. I know we had a student council day where students from Watervliet High School come and visit with, the government leaders here in the city hall, and the mayor happened to be I think the top person in BOCES or something as a welder. I think she's 17 years old, and she's well known for her welding abilities, and I'm going to actually tap into her later on to do some welding for us. So, but it was incredible, and I was so proud of her to see, how she was able to do that. So I think we have that right here in Hudson Valley, and I applaud them because they've been doing this for years.
That's great. So we're kind of wrapping up on time here. Why don't we open it up from Q&A for a couple minutes from the audience, if anybody has anything?
Oh, come on.
Someone's got to have something. Anybody?
I have a question for Mike McNulty. How do we avoid the shutdown, Mike? I know if you
How do you avoid the shutdown of the federal government?
Glad I'm retired.
Yeah. Yes, Dr. Brophy.
We have our honor students here today. Any advice to them as they think about service to others in their future?
I think they need to get involved, wherever they go, whatever they do, find out what their passion is and get involved. Get involved locally, get involved professionally, okay? Get involved in your community. The more you get involved in whatever you do, the better educated you're going to be, the better understanding to be, and the better personality you'll have in the long run.
Steve, can I say something seriously about that?
Yes.
I ran for public office the first time in 1969, and my grandfather, who was still alive at the time, gave me some advice. He had very little public education. He had a grammar school education. And he became town supervisor of Green Island, chairman of the Albany County Board of Supervisors, sheriff of Albany County, and state superintendent of public buildings under Al Smith and Franklin Roosevelt. He did okay for a kid with grammar school education. He had great common sense. And he said to me when I was running for my first office, if you win, he said, it's okay to go out and mix it up in the general election, try to get elected. If you get elected, take an oath of office the following January. And when you do that, you are pledging to work for all the people in the subdivision that you were elected in, not just the people in your party, everybody. And he said, you're also pledging to work with everybody else who got elected, regardless of their party affiliation. That is the advice that guided me for the next 4 decades as elected public official. And it worked out pretty well.
Yep.
I wish we hadn't gotten to the stage where we are today, where in so many instances, the person in the other party is the enemy. That's not the way it's supposed to be. We're supposed to work with each other and produce a work product. And I wish we were doing more of that today.
Yeah, that's well said, Michael. For sure. That's, yeah. And I've often said that I think that the instantaneous communication world that we live in actually hurt the political process, because I experienced that in the floor of the assembly when iPads came out. I would literally be debating, and in real time, people are twisting the words that I just said 3 seconds ago. And you were back in the Tip O'Neill Reagan days, and they would argue and go back and forth, but at the end of the day, they'd have a beer at the White House and they'd figure it out. And we've lost a lot of that. So, yeah, I completely agree with your very smart grandfather. Was it your father or grandfather? Grandfather, yeah, very smart.
I
Good
think
advice.
some people forget when they're elected, they call it a public servant. That means you serve the public, not yourself.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you to the mayors. Great job. It's interesting. Great job. Interesting to see that the problems are similar and the approaches are similar, but everybody puts their own stamp on it, as they should be. So thank you for taking the time to be here. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you. Just in closing, I go, one of the words that's resonating with me, and I love it, and then the mayors said this when they were up here, collaboration. Cooperation, collaboration goes such a long way. And I think that's one of the things that resonates with me about bringing them up here is regardless of where they stand on a host of issues, there's a clear need for collaboration. So thank you so much for coming out this morning. We're to help enlighten and educate you and all of us, and especially our Hudson Valley students are coming out and getting a unique exposure and opportunity for seeing this. You've got great leadership here that opens up the doors for those that is unique and should not be taken for granted. I want to thank the mayors again, taking time out of your busy schedules, and thank you for your support that you give this chamber and helping us pull this event together. And thank you for Steve on kind of short notice for stepping in. We don't need to necessarily know that, but stepped in on short notice. Former county exec Kathy Jimino has historically been here, but Steve stepped right in, and she may have lost her place. We'll have a little county moderator runoff, if you will. And thank you again to Hudson Valley for your support. I've now had a chance to meet with Dr. Brophy 3 times in probably about a week. That doesn't speak volumes for his leadership. And speaking of leadership, I want to thank my board of directors who I report to, Dennis Kennedy, Hudson Valley, Dennis Hebert, Claudia Butler, and Pat Hughes for coming out and giving your support as part of my board of directors. A lot of talk about waterfront, so I'm going to close on this note. We have a 125th anniversary cruise going down the Hudson through every single one of the cities that were represented here today. We're partnering with Colony Chamber that's celebrating their 40th anniversary, and that's part of our 125th. That's next Thursday, 5 to 8 p.m. on Dutch Apple, and we are closing out on this Friday for registration. So maybe the honor students can get some funding from the college to come out. Yeah, absolutely. We will be back at Hudson Valley Community College again, partnering for our 2nd annual job fair at the Seat Campus Center. We did this 1 year earlier, and about 50 of our members recruiting talent from the school and the community, and our members found an enormous amount of value about doing it on this side of the river especially. So if you're looking to hire some positions going into next year, great time to get that started. We'll also be hosting, and I expect Dr. Brophy to be able to mention at the college president's panel the number of mayors in the area that went to Hudson Valley, so there'll be an opportunity on November 13th at Hilton Garden Inn. So again, hearing from some more of our leadership. So having said that, thank you all so much for coming out today. I'd like to ask the mayors and Steve to stay up on the stage for a photo op with Dr. Brophy. Thank you. Have a great day at work.